It's a cold open, ladies and gentlemen, and as Khan said to Kirk, it's very cold in space. Welcome back to Dollar Box Reads. My name is Jason Tudor. It is great to be back podcasting with you after a months-long hiatus, moving my dumbass across the Atlantic Ocean onto bigger and better things in my life. Thank you for joining me for this podcast, and if you're returning, thank you for returning. I have a lot in store for the remainder of 2019 and a big, giant 2020 coming up for this podcast, so I hope you will hang around with that. Let me take a drink of my drink. I would tell you that that is some sort of European beer or something like that, but honest to God, it's just water. So that disclosure right in even before we finish the first minute of the podcast, which is right now. In any case, hey there, welcome. Thanks for coming back to the podcast. It's great to be back. Before I get rolling into the rolling of the podcast, I wanted to tell you that this podcast is brought to you by Crazy Monkey Inc., which is the company that publishes my fucking awesome comic book, Vorpal. Issue 3 is done. It's done. I shouldn't say that. I got to put some more lettering on it, at least 4 more pages, but I haven't quite got all my stuff in place in my Atomic Bazooka Studios yet to put the letters on. So it's going to be about another week or two before I can get the final letters on, and then I can hand that over to Crazy Monkey Inc., my fantastic publisher, and get issue 3 out to the masses. But let me tell you about Crazy Monkey Inc. Wow, so much great content from them, so many good comics, so many wonderful creators like Tony Clapper, Jared Griffith, I screwed up Jared's name, Jared Gifford, Corey Rue Hepler, and so many others, Nietzsche Hawkins, myself, of course, and of course our publisher, Gabe Old Raz Ramirez, who himself is a content creator with Midnight's Avenger. So much great content from those books, and you can find out about Crazy Monkey Inc. by going to Crazy Monkey Inc. on Facebook, facebook.com/Crazy Monkey Inc., or checking us out on Instagram, same thing, at Crazy Monkey Inc., and adding the heck out of us. You can also find us on indieplanet.us. Just search for Crazy Monkey Inc. You'll see every single title that's there. I think there are 20 to 30 issues of comic books there. Just such great reading, such great time spent immersing yourselves into the adventure, suspense, and wonder that comic books offer, even so much more better over films. Not that any of our comics are films yet, but we're working on it. So check out Crazy Monkey Inc. when you can on Facebook and Instagram. That's my publisher. All great folks working to work and get you to read our comics. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say something about my own comic book, Vorpal, which is available through Crazy Monkey Inc. on Indie Planet US. Just search for the term Vorpal, Vorpal, and you'll find 2 issues of my comic as we hear the jet noise in the background. And when you search for those comics, I think you're going to find some of the best sci-fi adventure you've gotten your hands on to in the independent publisher world. I'm very excited for issue 3. Issue 3 is going to be called No One Dies of Threats. Issues 1, Shoot Between Heartbeats, and 2, Your Sins Be as Scarlet, were quite an adventure for me as a creator. With issue 3, I added on an artist, I added on a colorist, and this is a fantastic issue, and I can't wait to bring it to you, hopefully by either fall or the beginning of winter, so you have it by Christmas. So if you're a regular reader, thank you, and thank you for hanging loose. This comic, 3 issues of this comic has taken me 9 years to create, and I know it's slow, and you know it's slow, but I'm doing my very best to get every single issue that I can out to you. He is slow, but we're going to get it done, and I want to get that to you as soon as possible. But in any case, check out Vorpal at the Crazy Monkey Inc. face page, which I just gave you a few minutes ago, or the Crazy Monkey Instagram. You can check it on my Instagram as my name, Jason S. Tudor on Instagram, on my Facebook, facebook.com/Jason Tudor Writes, on my website, jasontudor.com, where there's going to be a full featured Vorpal wiki there soon with all the references and content and things like that. So it's one of my winter projects for you. And I'm very excited as we close in on doing issue 4. I'm hoping to get the same team back to talk to you again, or to bring you issue 4 again, because they did such an amazing job. But I'm really going to push those folks and expect a lot out of them as we go into production in these winter months and try to get it done next year without waiting 3 years. What a saga. What quite a story. But in any case, check out Vorpal on my website. You can get my comic through, as I mentioned, the Crazy Monkey Ink store on Facebook, on Comixology, and you can get it in Indie Planet US. And if you get it from my website, you can get signed versions, although I'm out of just about everything with the move. So I'll have to get back to you if you really want a signed version. Again, thank you for your support. And for if you're a regular reader and you've been providing me support, can't say enough about that either. So thank you for that. All right, let's get to it. Why was there no Dollar Box read for months and months and months and months and months? Well, the truth is that I have moved. My family and I have moved across the Atlantic onto a new job offer onto the European continent, and we could not be more excited. We could not be more thrilled. We lived on the European continent for 5 years previously, and it was an exciting adventure, but we knew after that 5.5 years we had to go home. And then when we spent 5 years in the United States, we found an opportunity. Actually, an opportunity found us. And we decided to come back to Europe and take advantage of that. This whole process has taken probably, it's been going on since like October or November, maybe December of 2018. And I would tell you that I'm recording this on August 23rd, and it really only wrapped up as far as getting here and the getting in processed and getting settled about 2 days ago. And that process itself, from actually landing on the ground and getting to where I could sit and record a podcast with you, was probably 55 days in the making. There's a lot of reasons for that. I won't go into too depth about it because it would bore the shit out of you. But what I would tell you is, if you have the opportunity to break out of your shell and go do crazy, incredible things around the world with great, amazing people who care and are as passionate about the work you do as you are, with amazing people who care immensely for one another as they do that work, and a team of people who is dedicated to service and commitment, go do that. That's hugely important. Get out of your shell. Get out of your hometown. Get out of wherever you are and just go do that 30 or 40 times over. I can't stress that enough to you. The European experience is amazing, but I could have saw a million avenues I could have done, Peace Corps or something else, or other avenues of just getting out of my shell. I grew up as kind of a nomad, a wanderer. I lived on Midway Island for a year. I lived in California. I've lived in Texas. Through the service, I've lived in about 6 or 7 different places. And what I would tell you is, it took me almost my entire life to realize I'm a wanderer. I don't have a hometown. The place that I call myself from is California because I spent the most time there growing up, 11 years. But I have wandered from my birth in Providence, Rhode Island, to where I sit on the European continent right now. So if you can get out and do that, I highly recommend it. What can I tell you about the move? Let me start by explaining. If you ever want to come over and hurt some animals, you're welcome to hurt mine. I'm just kidding, animal lovers. But it was a touch and go time trying to move 3 cats, put them in crates and move them across the Atlantic. It is not easy. It is not. It is painful. And it's painful for the cats too. I mean, I get it. I get that the cats are going through change just as much as the humans are. But the cats did not make it easy at all. At all. One of the things we had to do was we had to get the cats into shape to come to Europe. And where we live in Europe requires very specific sorts of certificates and checkups and things like that. And we had 3 cats, so that took 3 visits to that particular veterinarian. Or actually not 3 visits. Actually, it was 3 visits, but with all 3 cats. So shots, examinations, deworming, the whole 9 yards. And then to finally get a raft of paperwork that says, in essence, okay, you can take this cat into that country. Knock yourself out. It's like, oh, super. That was the first part. That in and of itself was an adventure. Meanwhile, the cats are getting anxious. They're peeing where they shouldn't pee. They're scratching where they shouldn't scratch. And that's always a challenge. So anyway, we figured all that out, and now we've got to put them on an airplane. If you've never taken a pet on an airplane, it is a costly endeavor, especially if you're not coming to the country where we came to, which has an airline that is generally incredibly pet-friendly and makes the transportation of pets a fairly easy process. But that doesn't mean it didn't cost us something near the cost of a couple of Xboxes. It's not a cheap proposition, and it's logistically. Think about that. You got to put these cats into these plastic and steel and aluminum or whatever the hell they're made of crates, and then you've got to get them to the airport. Thank God we have such an awesome family, and our family in Atlanta helped us out with that. Helped us get the cats, and we had a great transporter and the whole thing. That whole process of getting the cats from the house that we lived in to the temporary place we stayed in the United States to the airport was a logistical, I don't want to say it was a nightmare, but it was something, it wasn't a dream, I'll say that. And the cats are assholes. I've said this on my Facebook page, I've said it elsewhere, but the cats are assholes. They're morons. So they were not helpful. Again, I get they're nervous, I get that they're as anxious as we are, but not helpful. The good news was when you put them under the plane, it's a comfortable environment, and we didn't have to carry them in the cabin with us. So that made our journey a lot less anxious. But getting them from our home in Augusta, Georgia, to our family in Atlanta, which was in north of Atlanta, actually, more in the suburbs like Woodstock, Roswell, that sort of area, and then moving them down to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, getting them out of the car, bringing them in, having to show the airline and the purser, who was incredible. The airline, again, I don't want to mention because I don't want to get into too much detail about where I am yet anyway. But the airline, the person who helped us was amazing. They actually knew we were coming. We were originally going to transport one of the pets in the plane with us above, and they said, why don't you just put it underneath? And we were like, okay. So we figured out a way to put them underneath, and it all worked out. So that was great, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a logistical nightmare and it wasn't fraught with anxiety. But once we were on the plane for the 8.5-9 hour flight, it was a lot easier. So that was a big deal. Get off the plane. We have to stay in basically a temporary location until we find a house to live in. So we stayed in a hotel. Oh, the fucking cats tore up the hotel room. They didn't tear it up, but they did enough damage to make it hurt our wallets. So, again, they're anxious. We're anxious. We get it. And essentially, the hotel room wasn't so bad, but they did some damage, and that damage, again, lightened our wallets a fairly significant amount. And, what are you going to do? I know you're here for the Dollar Box comics, and I know you're here to talk about cool old comics, but I just don't have access to Dollar Box comics at the moment. I'm still waiting to unwrap that box, and I will get back into that mojo in a couple of weeks, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this as we go on and make sure that I had my beachfront property in Greenland secured as we go to buy that. So, those are two priorities. But, yeah, the temporary hotel thing. And then once we were able to find a house and get the cats in, it was no big deal. So that is but families here, all safe, cats are here, somehow still alive. How I didn't punt them over the river and into the woods to wherever's house they go is still baffling me. I wanted to Blade Runner terminate them at one point. It was not a pretty scene, but. We all made it. We're all survivors, and we're all here. So that's the cats part of the move. The rest of the move there were some difficult things in processing to my location, but I'm not going to get into that. Maybe that's another podcast episode, and really they all resolve themselves pretty equanimously. Yes, you can break out your dictionaries if you'd like, but it all worked out pretty well, and it's no big deal. So let's pause again to tell you again about Crazy Monkey Inc., my publishing company. If you get a chance, stop by our Facebook page, Crazy Monkey Inc., facebook.com/Crazy Monkey Inc. You check out the store, all the titles that are in the store. You will not be disappointed. And don't forget my comic, Vorpal, which is available on indieplanet.us through the facebook.com/Crazy Monkey Inc. store and via Comixology. And like I said, reach out to me, info@jasontutor.com if you want a copy, or you can go to my website and pick it up through the little online store that I've set up there. I think you can still do that. I got to check all this. That's another thing I got to do is check out my website, make sure it's still functional, that I've got all the bits and pieces in there to do that right. So, all right, so there's your quick couple of minutes of advertisements. I want to let you know that on the next episode, I'll have my friend Jared Gifford. He's a writer. He's a cohort with me on Crazy Monkey Inc. Had a great interview coming up with him that I think you'll enjoy about writing and the whole thing of doing that. So that'll be coming up. And then I've got some other surprises in the future, talking to some folks, some friends in the industry, and some folks that I've just decided to reach out to and talk to about old comics, making comics, and so on. So lots coming up again, as I said, in 2019 for Crazy Monkey Inc., for Atomic Bazooka Studios and the Dollar Box Read podcast. Lots of stuff coming up for Crazy Monkey Inc. too, but they're over there, and I'm doing this podcast right here now. So my buds at Crazy Monkey Inc. have got it going on, but so do I, baby. So let's tell you about what it means to move a whole studio. At some point, I'll post a picture, but my studio at home was really just another room in the house. And at it, I had a very large desk, and I have my tablet that I draw on, or not my tablet, but my Wacom alternative tablet that I draw on, plus a large monitor and a very powerful computer so that I can run the 3D modeling programs that I have, the clip art studio programs that I have, and the whole thing. And it's a big, everything's kind of integral to that whole process of creating comics. I've got my iPad now that I do a lot of drawing on, so that's part of that. But what we've done here is, and I'm still unpacking. I'm fortunate to be able to have my mic. I've got some recording tools. I was able to put together some audio tonight. But still a long way to go to get it in the sort of feng shui that I think we all need to kind of be comfortable drawing and creating and things like that. Certain things have to be in certain places, and you just want that sort of comfort zone in terms of working with your creative medium. And I've got a few things working, and the space that I have in our new house is just wonderful. It's on a third floor. I've got a pair of recliners now for my home theater. My daughter has her own beautiful art space where I've got a workbench so I can work on my Warhammer miniatures and build models, and we could store all the art supplies for physical art, acrylic paints, and things like that. And then over on the digital side of my office, I've got all my setup. I've just recently got a new monitor for the setup, which is fantastic. The drawing tablet's still here. And for my birthday, I was able to get a new rig to better power and draw, which includes a solid-state drive, which is amazing. If you don't have a solid-state drive, I highly recommend it. And a few other things. So the studio is coming together nicely, and the Dollar Box comics that I bought, which are 3 long boxes of those, which I have plenty items to pull off of, and I'm going to be heading back to the States soon to pick up about another 100 issues or so of Dollar Box comics to pick up. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So I'll have plenty of material for you on upcoming shows. I continue to look forward to this podcast, which is, if you know by now, is not only a sort of look at these old comics and reflecting on whether or not they're worth $1 or they're worth more, or, but it's also kind of a look at current events and an interview process so we can better add some context to these old comics. And so it's kind of a smorgasbord of things. And as we get this studio up and running and getting things going again, I hope you will continue to tune in and enjoy this process. As I said, I'm going to try to get as many creators and friends to talk about the creation process and what we go through. To talk about that here, but in a fun, entertaining way, not just, and then we put the thread through the needle. I want these guys to express their passion and their soul for their books and why they take away time from their wives and their children to sit down and draw these amazing characters and stories and write them, and what it means to them to kind of get all this done. So in any case, wanted to make sure that I reached out to you with at least a little podcast tonight. We usually try to run about an hour. We're not going to run about an hour on this little cold open podcast for Dollar Box Reads. This is it. We're running about 20 minutes tonight, and I think that excites it. The good news is, here in my European location, there is a new comic book store opening right nearby, and I'm hoping to get with the owner very soon to make sure that he features my Vorpal comic book, as well as perhaps, hint, hint, Crazy Monkey Inc. fellow creators, some of the Crazy Monkey Inc. offerings, but they're going to have to send me their books to put out there. I can't front that kind of cash for them, but we'll figure it out, and it could be a great opportunity for them to get product overseas. So we'll see what happens. In any case, thank you for joining me for the show tonight. I am hugely appreciative of your listenership, and I want to do more. I want to continue to be entertaining. Again, if you want to give me some feedback about the show, you can find me on Facebook. Facebook.com/Jason Tudor Writes. I'm on Twitter @Jason Tudor. I'm on Instagram @Jason S. Tudor. You can use email info@jasontudor.com. Or however you want to reach me, I'm willing to listen. Again, thanks for listening to Dollarbock Reads. Welcome back to the show. I'm excited to be back with you, and I will talk to you. Let me see. It's August 23rd now. I'm probably going to take another week, and I think I will be regularly back with you on either the 5th or the 6th, which will also start including my raft of football picks for the weekend. I know you'll love that. In any case, thank you all for listening in, and have a good one. See you soon.